Welcome back to another day in our 150-day journey through Calamity Death Mode, a difficulty that most people who have played this mod will find relatively straightforward. However, not only am I not very familiar with the mod, I'm also mainly a builder. So while I can make pretty things like this, and even this, I leave a lot to be desired when it comes to the important things in progression, like, combat. No! But maybe that won't matter. Maybe. So let's get back to our journey, shall we? Alright, so we're back to it, and with our progress from last time, which includes the destruction of the Brain of Cthulhu, the numerous eviscerations of Crabulon, and even exacting my revenge over the Perforator, I need to take stock of things and plan out my next moves. Right, well, clearly there's a host of bosses we need to deal with, but more importantly than that, we need some upgrades. These boots right here, they simply are not going to cut it. Now to upgrade these boots, I need to head off to the jungle to hopefully find one of the items I was missing, the Anklet of the Wind. An item that for some reason often eludes me in my playthroughs.
Where are they?
Killing is making a choice.
Where are they?
Like, seriously, if it's not the Aglet, it's this thing, and it's super annoying, but I digress. So off to the jungle I went, diving deeper and deeper to try and find some chests which would have this item. Of course, along the way, I had to fight off a variety of enemies before finding my first chest, which, of course, did not contain what I was looking for. And then after some more exploring, I found another chest which provided the same result, followed by another which, surprise surprise, also did not contain the Anklet. I swear, history is repeating itself right now. Frustrated, I continued to dive deeper into the jungle, dodging hornets, slimes, and along the way, all the while, not really finding any chests. Until this one right here. And finally, I had what I was looking for. The Anklet was now in my possession. Of course, now I could head home, but I continued to explore a bit further until eventually my inventory was completely clogged, so I decided to make my way back home, cleared out my inventory, and then completed my objective of upgrading my boots. You thought that I would follow through on this basic objective, didn't you? Well, I got news for you, Cupcake. I got the attention span of a goldfish. So I grabbed a trusty anti-gravity potion and headed up to explore the left side of the map. And on my very first Sky Island, I found the Star Fury as well as these ore veins which held this new shiny ore. Turns out it's aerolite ore. Now, I was not sure what this ore was actually for, but I figured it had to be of some use, right? Plus it's shiny, so of course I had to grab it. Now, of course, if you're like me and you find a new ore in Terraria, your curiosity is going to get the best of you, and that's exactly what happened to me, so I headed back to craft some aerolite bars, which turned out to be a necessary component for something very useful. Something that would change the landscape of this journey forever. Okay, maybe that's a bit dramatic, but these aerolite bars did make a set of pre-hard mode wings, the Skyline wings. And if you know anything about Terraria, flight is really useful. But of course, as you know, nothing is ever easy around here, and I was missing the requisite number of harpy feathers. So once again, I drank another anti-grav potion, found my way up into space, and began mowing down harpies faster than a new NFT project crashes, all to collect the necessary feathers. With that done, I had myself my very first set of wings, and the extra mobility made me realize that I could definitely move forward on the boss checklist. It was time for our next milestone and a fight with a boss that I was very familiar with, Skeletron. So I headed off to find the dungeon where I knew I would have to set up a quick little arena to make this fight a bit more manageable. Of course, it didn't take that long to find the dungeon, and then I used my automatic arena platform builder, and then it was just a matter of waiting for nighttime and taking out Skeletron. And after an extended fight, a lot of dodging, and overall persistence, the final attacks landed and Skeletron was defeated.
Oh baby!
This meant there was only one thing to do. Hop into the dungeon and do a bit of exploring. I mean, obviously, what else are you gonna do? So down into the dungeon I went, clearing out traps and enemies along the way. I didn't really have a specific goal in mind other than discovering the layout of the dungeon and farming for gold and hopefully a few new weapons and items. But just as my inventory was once again overflowing, my aimless exploration was met with something, or well, someone, useful. The mechanic. So this was as good a time as any to head back home, and I quickly realized I needed to expand my crappy NPC prison just slightly to accommodate my growing population of NPCs. And don't worry, this is temporary, there were more proper builds to come. Like now, right now, it's time to upgrade the very first home that we made because, let's be honest, it is in desperate need of a bit of love. So let's upgrade this thing, shall we? And I gotta say, going from this to this is one hell of an upgrade. But just as I was adding the finishing touches to my upgraded home, I was once again forced to deal with a blood moon. Seriously, this pattern has got to stop, and honestly, I'm so fed up with this that I decided to block up the entrance to the home, ignore the blood moon entirely, and continue to add the final touches to the build. With the blood moon successfully ignored and my home completed, I was taking stock of my inventory before getting distracted by some very kind viewers. They had subscribed to my channel, something that doesn't happen often.
Thanks for the... Wait, was that 1,000? Thank you, but you don't need to gift subs, you don't need to donate, you don't like I just like talking about Terraria and games and building. That's all I asked for. Who is donating? What did I just say? Oh, oops, oops, I slipped. I appreciate that you may not comprehend the words I'm saying. You don't need to donate. This very mediocre stream is very much free, all right? As I've said, oh my god.
And I was thanking them for their generosity, and then, well, then I did this.
Okay, yes, guys, thank you for the subs. It's very kind. It's Katarina, please enjoy it. You'll have some emotes, I hope. Oh no!
Needless to say, this is why we're not allowed to have nice things around here. But luckily with the magic of editing, my pyrotechnical error has been fixed, and I think it's probably best for me to get out of here before I do anything else explosively stupid. So now I needed to think, what is next? And there's ever only one answer to this question, and that's progression. And in this journey, progression means bosses. And up next was the Slime God. Now, like most other Calamity bosses, I'm not quite sure what to expect here, but let's be honest, a slime is a slime, god or otherwise. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to handle myself against some slimes. Okay, let's try that again. Clearly, I need an excuse for my shortcomings here, and I definitely have one. There was something that felt off about that fight, and then it dawned on me. Remember when I made those wings? What was my original goal again? That's right. My boots.
Boring.
I had totally forgotten to actually upgrade them. So with my scapegoat identified, I grabbed all the necessary components and crafted me some new boots. I also grabbed this new weapon, the Toothball, which I thought might help me output some more damage, and then I headed back to face the Slime God once again, hoping that the third time would be the charm. It wasn't. At this point, the last thing I could think to do was add another layer to my arena and just try again. Now, if you remember from my last video, I kind of mentioned that arena sizing sometimes is going to be pretty helpful, and I was hoping that this would be the case this time. So let's give this another shot. And finally, the final long-range attack landed and the Slime God was no more. Of course, I want to see what kind of loot I could get my grubby little hands on, so I opened up the treasure bag and found nothing. Well, at least nothing for my rogue class, but these days, a win's a win. So after all that effort, a few key upgrades, and some patience, I finally headed back home one last time. We had made a lot of progress, upgrading our first structure to look like a proper home, defeating Skeletron, finding the mechanic, finding aerialite ore, and making some wings, eventually upgrading our boots, and defeating the pesky Slime God. However, I had grown weary from my journey, and I knew there were plenty more obstacles ahead. But that would have to wait until the next time.